Less than 50 years ago, Vietnam was a land ravaged by war. Bombs and Agent Orange left a barren and war-torn landscape. But today, Vietnam is recognized as one of the most biodiverse places in the world. Home to about 10% of the world's species, the tropical jungles burst with exotic and unique creatures. How did Vietnam's nature stage such an extraordinary comeback? And what mysteries are left here waiting to be revealed? Vietnam is the easternmost country on the Indochina peninsula of Southeast Asia. The country's landscape features soaring mountains and forests. Hundreds of beautiful lakes, rivers, and caves create some of the most dramatic scenery on Earth. It is one of the largest areas of biodiversity in the world. But this is quite an extraordinary feat, as the Vietnam War wiped out many species. Unfortunately for nature, during the war, rainforest cover proved to be the best weapon against enemy attack. US forces sprayed 72 million liters of herbicides, including Agent Orange, a deadly poison, on the Vietnamese countryside, and dropped an estimated 13 million tons of bombs. Hundreds of tree species were defoliated and died. Around 20,000 square kilometers of forest was destroyed. 20% of the total cover. But this land was not to be defeated. Soon after the guns fell silent, nature began its remarkable regeneration. And death was transformed into life. One amazing example of this can be found in Vietnam's rice paddies. The 1,000-pound bombs, designed to take out munitions factories, were used to blow apart the rice paddies in an effort to flush out the Viet Cong army. On impact, they created deep craters, 10 to 15 meters in diameter. But once the war was over, these bomb craters filled up quickly during the heavy rains, and nature was immediately restored. The bombs had an unexpected positive effect on the land, as in no time at all the crater lakes became filled with an abundance of life. Whole communities have grown up around these craters, making a living from fishing in these thriving lakes. The miracle of nature's power to restore itself didn't stop there. The dense tropical jungle also quickly recovered, and it is now renowned for the rich biodiversity of primate species. Each morning, the canopy is filled with the calls of the yellow-cheeked gibbons. They use these sounds to mark out their territory and warn neighboring groups to keep their distance. With their large throats, they are able to project their calls up to 3 kilometers through the canopy. Even though these family groups only consist of up to 8 gibbons, the sound can be deafening. But they need it to be, as their territory can be up to 50 hectares in size. With dawn chorus over, this female and her 2 youngsters can relax. Yellow-cheeked gibbons are born with blonde fur, but at around 2 years of age, this changes to black. Although males retain this dark coloration for life, females return to their natal blonde once fully mature. These young gibbons don't like to relax for long. They are ready to play. And the canopy is the perfect place for these energetic youngsters to show off. Gibbons are, in fact, the best swingers on the planet. They can reach speeds as high as 55 kilometers an hour and swing up to 15 meters from branch to branch. With playtime over, the eldest youngster decides it's time to rest. Surprisingly, hanging by one arm is the common way for gibbons to relax. Long fingers and powerful limbs enable them to hold on for over an hour without moving. This young male makes a start on breakfast. Fresh bamboo shoots are a particular favorite. Although fruits, seeds and leaves make up most of their diet, gibbons also indulge in insects and even the occasional bird's egg. Opposable toes allow their feet to grasp, in effect, providing a second pair of hands. And their flexibility means they can hold themselves up just about anywhere. But life for these gibbons isn't just about having fun. There is a more formidable reason for why they spend their lives in the canopy and rarely venture down to the forest floor. Ground level is the realm of predators, and this low-flying youngster has company. With the bear's excellent sense of smell, she is on the hunt for food. It starts to climb. Her mother realizes she might be in imminent danger and rushes to the scene. She guides her daughter back to the safety of the canopy. This youngster had a lucky escape, as a treetop confrontation with an Asiatic black bear could have had a dismal end. Although similar in size to their American relatives, Asiatic black bears differ by having a cream-colored crescent across their chest. Thicker fur, up to 15 centimeters long around their face and neck, is another distinguishing feature. Armed with 3-centimeter long curved claws and flesh-tearing teeth, this predator has the potential to take down a young gibbon. But their diet is in fact primarily vegetarian. Grasses, berries and roots make up the majority of its diet. However, insects are a particular delicacy. This nose is capable of detecting honey from a distance of 5 kilometers. And these ants stand little chance of not being discovered. Midges are a constant irritation in Vietnam's hot, humid jungles. After washing down his meal with a smear of sticky tree sap, it's time to cool down and indulge in some temporary bug relief. Asiatic black bears lead a mainly solitary life, so in order to attract females and let other males know they're on someone else's patch, they will scent mark certain trees. It's also the ideal way to relieve an itchy back. But this male's daily ritual is suddenly cut short. Another male has ventured too close for company. Battle commences as he fights to defend his territory. Luckily, this time the visitor soon gets the message that this is one opponent not to be messed with. To escape danger, the defeated male climbs up into the canopy. Black bears will often chase rivals up trees, but this male has wisely chosen a branch that isn't strong enough for the two of them. But with the other males still in the area, it could be hours before it's safe to come down. So he has no option but to sit and wait. One of the reasons behind Vietnam's remarkable recovery after the war decimated the forest is the fastest growing plant on Earth: bamboo. In just 24 hours, it can attain a height of up to 1 meter. The taller it grows, the faster the rate. In a matter of days, it can tower above trees that have been established for decades. Essentially a giant species of grass, bamboo grows in every part of Vietnam. It plays a key role across the entire ecosystem, and many species rely on it for their survival. One in particular loves to eat the young plants, causing them to mysteriously disappear. Bamboo rats weigh around 4 kilograms and can reach up to ½ meter in length. They spend their entire lives digging tunnels under the forest floor to access the fresh roots of the delicious bamboo. Once located, the stems are cut free and dragged underground. This female's front teeth are so large, they remain uncovered by her lips. Her sense of smell is so acute, she can detect any fresh growth through the compact soil. Powerful claws assist her oversized teeth whenever excavating new tunnels. Bamboo rats can have as many as 4 offspring in a single litter. These youngsters are just a few weeks old and have already developed a taste for the succulent stems. Despite the bamboo rat's fast expanding population, here in Vietnam, they're unlikely to run out of food anytime soon, as luckily for them, bamboo is everywhere. %17% of Vietnam's forests are made up of bamboo. This fast-growing plant continues to play a key role in regenerating many different types of ecosystem. Alongside rivers and streams, bamboo roots knit and hold the fragile bank soils, which would otherwise be eroded away. It also helps keep tropical waters cool by providing shade, beneficial to aquatic creatures. During cooler times of the day, turtles bask in order to raise their body temperature. This increases their metabolism, aids digestion, and encourages them to feed. Fish, insects, plants, and fallen fruit make up the majority of their diet. However, one particular species has taken to hunting exclusively on land. Keeled box turtles get their name from the 3 large keels or ridges running along their upper shell. Fully grown, they reach around 18 centimeters in length. Partially webbed feet indicate a much more terrestrial lifestyle, as opposed to an aquatic one. This individual spends most of its life in the forest, rooting through leaf litter in search of a mulch-munching prey. Earthworms play a key role in the fertility of soil. Just 1 square meter of forest floor can contain over 1,000 of these nutrient-producing invertebrates. For any species of worm, raising your head above the trenches is asking for trouble, especially in box turtle territory. This reptile may have fairly poor hearing, but its full-color eyesight and sense of smell are excellent. Like a cheetah chasing an antelope, the odds surrounding this outcome appear fairly evenly matched. Despite being one of the slowest predator-prey encounters on record, for the turtle, it is one of the most rewarding. This meal is over 80% pure protein. Vietnam's aquatic habitats extend towards the coast, which is fringed with mangroves. Mangroves are halfway points between land and sea, extreme tidal zones where the world changes from a saltwater seascape to an exposed mudflat every 6 hours. To withstand the constant push and pull of an ebbing and flowing tide, trees in the mangrove forest develop a scaffold of roots that brace against the moving water. As the tide goes out, a strange world is revealed. Roots grow upwards, poking out through the waterlogged soil. This is the tree's only chance to absorb oxygen. And fish think nothing of walking on land. A mudskipper is perfectly at home, out of water. It breathes through its skin and carries a bubble of air in its gill chambers, like a scuba diver's tank. The receding tide triggers a frenzy of activity. Mudskippers can only feed when the mud is exposed. They filter microscopic organisms out of the silt. At high tide, they retreat into burrows to stay out of the way of predatory fish. And with just a few hours before the sea floods back again, it's every mudskipper for himself. Disagreements over grazing rights can lead to disputes with neighbors. The flash of a fin is usually enough to let the others know this spot is taken. But fights can break out. Mudskippers seem to have pulled off the impossible. Walking is surely the ultimate achievement for a fish. But there are some definite disadvantages to life on land. They're perhaps the only fish in the world to be bugged by mosquitoes. Vietnam's many rivers run into the country's extensive coastline. One of the country's most iconic locations is Halong Bay, which is famous for its limestone islands. "400 million years ago, tectonic activity raised underwater bedrock above the level of the sea. Once exposed to the moist tropical air, carbon dioxide carried by rainwater slowly dissolved and sculpted the limestone rock into bizarre-looking formations. A landscape geologically known as karst. Halong Bay contains more than 1,600 limestone karst islands and islets. But it's not what's above ground that sets Vietnam apart from anywhere else on Earth. It's the underworld. Vietnam has the largest and most spectacular caves on Earth. One of the most beautiful is Hang Toi, also known as the Dark Cave. It is over 5 kilometers long and 80 meters high, tall enough to house a 20-story building. Like the majority of limestone caves, Hang Toi was initially formed by a supersized underground river. The mildly acidic rainwater in these rivers dissolves away the limestone, forming huge cavities like this. Over time, new cavities will form and become interconnected, creating vast underground waterways. Groundwater also seeps through the porous stone, depositing tiny layers of calcite on the cave walls. Over time, this creates a labyrinth of ancient structures, some even joining to form stunning calcite columns known as stalactites and stalagmites. But these caves also provide a home to a variety of animals. One in particular thrives here: the bat. Huge colonies will crowd the roof of the cave, and the beat of bat wings is a constant echo. The cave offers a daytime sanctuary for bats roosting. But they are not completely safe, as in this cave, a predator is lurking. The cave racer snake, and it's hunting. She has a taste for bats. Their long, slender bodies enable them to hang from the walls of the cave, ready to pluck an unsuspecting bat from the air during their nightly exodus. Completely blind, they use heat-sensitive receptors to locate the bats in absolute darkness. Using their quick reactions, they can catch their prey out of nowhere. Once caught, these snakes use constriction to disable the bat before swallowing them whole. It isn't just creatures of the darkness that use these caves. During the Vietnam War, people used them as bomb shelters, as they could provide protection from all the tropical elements. But these caves didn't just protect the people of Vietnam during the war. They even provided refuge for one of the world's rarest primates, saving it from extinction. Hatin langurs were first discovered in the 1960s, but disappeared completely following the war. It was assumed they'd gone forever. But amazingly, 30 years later, a small population living among the karst caves and limestone forests were discovered. There are thought to be as many as 1,000 living in the wild today. Langurs rarely come to the ground, spending most of their day feeding in trees. Like other leaf-eating monkeys, they have to graze almost all of the time because their plant diet is so low in energy. The adults in this group take a break from feeding and indulge in a spot of mutual grooming. This back-scratching not only reinforces social bonds, it's the perfect way to relax. But that's no fun when you're a young monkey. The only way these guys want to unwind is through a game of monkey tag. As dusk draws in, the langurs return to the safety of their limestone refuge. These langurs aren't the only species to return from the brink of extinction after the Vietnam War. Numerous other species were assumed to have been wiped out. But over the following years, scientists have been astonished by what they found and are continuing to find. Another species of langur, the delacaur, was so rare it was feared the war had wiped them out. But remarkably, it had survived, also hiding out in the safety of limestone caves like its cliff-dwelling cousin. It's thought that only 200 or so of these langurs exist in the wild, making them one of the rarest primates on the planet. And it isn't just previously known creatures that have miraculously resurfaced from Vietnam's ashes. Brand new species are still being reported today. Between 2012 and 2013, 99 new species were recorded in one region alone. So rare, they are yet to be captured on film. These include strange beings like the Helen's flying frog, the leopard gecko, and one of the most bizarre-looking bats on Earth, the Griffin's leaf-nosed bat. Until very recently, no new large mammal species had been discovered anywhere in the world for more than 50 years. But in Vietnam, new species of mammals are being unearthed. In 2005, a ferret badger, previously unknown to science, was rescued from a hunter's trap. And in 2013, an expedition captured pictures on a camera trap of a new species of antelope called the sow. What was once thought to be a lost world, Vietnam, even after a devastating war, is now a wildlife wonderland. It's not just the wildlife that makes this place so unique. The plant life is just as special and plays a vital role in forest life. Many of the world's rhododendron species are found in Vietnam's wild north. Along with providing a vast source of food for nectar-feeding sunbirds, the flowers help fuel another creature that spends most of its day off the ground. Hoary-bellied Himalayan squirrels live at an elevation of up to 1,500 meters. Water droplets trapped among the petals quenches this individual's thirst. Although nuts and fruits make up the majority of its diet, insects taking refuge inside flowers are also taken. As you move to the higher altitudes, it is here some of the most weird and wonderful organisms on Earth have made their home. Vietnam's forests harbour some of the most exceptional animal and plant species on Earth. And beneath the canopy, among the maze of branches and vines, lives one of the country's most unique hunters. A binturong is on the prowl for food, one of Vietnam's rarest and most elusive animals. It is also known as a bear cat. A closer look reveals why. With its stocky body, feline features, and small round ears, it looks like an unlikely cross between a bear and a cat. But despite appearances, it's related to neither. Its closest relatives are the African civet and genet. The bear cat's favourite place to hunt is up in the canopy. With their semi-retractable claws, they are perfectly adapted to scale tall trees with ease. And it has something else to aid this treetop life. The bear cat is one of only 2 carnivores in the world with a prehensile tail. It works like a 5th hand to help it grip, balance, and move through the canopy. Once among the branches, the bear cat reveals a speed and dexterity it can't match on the ground. These forests are the perfect hunting ground for the bear cat. Although it mainly lives on fruit, it will eat insects, birds, and rodents too. Powerful jaws easily slice through bark to uncover grubs. They also have a keen sense of smell. And this bear cat has managed to sniff out its favourite food, hidden among the branches. Then they use their long, sensitive whiskers to actually track down the source of the scent, a nest full of delicious eggs. Some mammals flourish despite the ecological ravages of war. And the same can be said for some of Vietnam's birds. Around 850 species still call Vietnam their home. Scarlet minivets and nectar-feeding sunbirds add colour throughout the jungle terrain. However, one feathered resident shines like a neon beacon in Vietnam's northern mountainous range. This pheasant, known as a tragopan, is only found in forested regions where bamboo thickets or rhododendron bushes are common. Although solitary by nature, This male has spotted some potential company. Male tragopans are one of the most conspicuous birds in the world. It's the mating season. This individual does everything it can to impress. As part of the display, he inflates his horns and multicolored wattle to appear powerful and robust. Unfortunately, this female appears unimpressed. But he's not giving up. This game of peekaboo could go on for days. Even though Vietnam was ravaged by war, these tropical forests are still so diverse, they are home to more than 5,000 different species of insects. There are approximately 1,000 different varieties of butterfly, more than the total found in Europe and Australia combined. Through pollination, insects played a crucial role in regenerating the forest during and following the war. They also provide a valuable source of protein for many creatures. Including a rare primate that chooses to hunt at night. This pygmy slow loris more closely resembles a teddy bear rather than a primate. Its body is just 20 centimeters long and has virtually no tail. Moving along the branches with stealth and precision, it's the perfect nighttime hunter. Its oversized eyes provide excellent night vision. And this individual has spotted a potential meal. Bush crickets can't fly, but can jump at incredible speeds. The two-handed attack meant the cricket stood no chance. Lorises are one of the few animals capable of eating while hanging upside down. Hunting at night means they avoid competing with other primates that share their territory. But lorises aren't the only nocturnal mammals in search of insect prey. Vietnam's moonlit forests are the domain of another insect-loving predator that's reminiscent of a giant shrew. Austin's palm civets are just over a meter long and weigh around 3 kilograms. Despite having feline characteristics, they are more closely related to weasels and mongooses. Fermented tree sap is a particular delicacy. Although excellent climbers, they spend most of their time foraging for insects and other invertebrates on the forest floor. Earthworms using the cover of night aren't as safe as they seem. They make up the bulk of this hunter's diet. Not all of Vietnam's forests were affected by the war. In fact, certain areas have benefited from having a continued military presence long after the war was over. One area in particular, the Son Tra primary forest on the Da Nang Peninsula, has remained a military base and a no-go zone to the public for 40 years since the war ended. This has inadvertently meant the forest and all its animal residents have been protected. Remarkably, scientists recently discovered this forest is in fact one of the last remaining refuges for probably the most beautiful monkey on Earth. The Duke Langur. Until recently, it was assumed they hadn't survived in this region. These monkeys rely mainly on leaves and fruit to survive, so scientists believed they must have suffered badly during the war, as their food source was being decimated. But they were wrong. The Duke Langurs had survived against all the odds. More than 200 individuals have now been recorded living on this isolated peninsula. This figure represents over 60% of the country's population. This colorful primate is never seen on the ground in the wild, as it spends most of its time eating. So much so, their stomach makes up a quarter of their body weight. Their tails are as long as their bodies, providing excellent balance when leaping through the canopy. Dukes are highly social monkeys, usually living in groups of up to 15 members. These primates may have survived a war, but there is now a new danger to this beautiful animal. Son Tra is now open to the public. Roads are being built, splitting up their population and increasing the access for hunters taking them for the illegal pet trade. Let's hope this is not one challenge too far for these wartime survivors. Vietnam is a unique example of nature's incredible ability to fight back. The country's wild landscapes endured 30 years of war, which almost obliterated all forms of life. But the forests grew back, sheltering and feeding life. Many species were presumed forever lost. Instead, greater numbers arose from the ashes. These are nature's wild survivors.